In the near future, Earth faces an invasion from extraterrestrial beings known as the Souls. These aliens take control of most human bodies and aim to create a society based on honesty and kindness. However, not everyone on Earth agrees with this transformation. Some people form a resistance to fight for their freedom. As time passes, cruelty, hunger, and violence become rare, and kindness and harmony become more common around the world. People become genuinely honest and compassionate. But it's no longer the same humanity as before because the Souls have taken over most of the human population. These beings have silver-rimmed pupils in their eyes, and they've made most humans obedient and emotionless. Despite the prevailing order, some individuals still refuse to accept this new reality. Melanie Strider strongly opposed the alien parasite invasion and found herself in a dangerous situation when she was captured by the aliens. She was at risk of becoming a host for another soul, which was something she was determined to avoid. To escape this fate, Melanie made a courageous decision. She jumped from a great height, willing to sacrifice her life, which frustrated the aliens. The aliens lost the use of Melanie's remarkable body, but their disappointment was brief. One of them, known as the Seeker, noticed a faint movement in Melanie's finger, which intrigued them due to her resilience. They decided to take her to a skilled healer. The healer worked wonders and implanted a newly arrived soul, who chose to be called the Wanderer because she had traveled extensively across various planets. The next day, Melanie fully regained consciousness, revealing an astonishing twist. Her own soul had not perished, and it still resided within her body. The Seeker explained the tough situation on their planet and why it was essential to find and stop groups opposing them. Melanie was torn and desperate, and she tried really hard to push away the Wanderer's presence and not let her influence her. But in the end, the alien's presence became too strong, and the Wanderer took over. The Wanderer then told the Seeker that the young girl's name was Melanie Strider. Her family had escaped the alien invasion initially, but her father sadly took his own life to avoid being caught by the invaders. Since then, Melanie had been wandering around without a purpose. She strongly objected to being called by her name, but the alien insisted on calling her Jeremy Strider, thinking she was her younger brother. As time went by, the Wanderer adapted to life on Earth and tried to convince Melanie not to resist. They said they were making the planet better and people happier. But Melanie saw them as harmful, not as helpers. Once, Melanie went into a house, and a boy named Jared found out she was a human. He was really happy, and even gave her a kiss. Melanie tried to leave, but Jared caught her and asked her and her brother to come to his house. The Wanderer had vivid dreams about these things and was curious about Melanie's connection with Jared. At one point, someone took the Wanderer's drawing pencil, but she proudly showed a picture she drew of Jared. It showed that Melanie and her brother were staying at Jared's place. Later, the Wanderer explored Melanie's thoughts and remembered how the Seekers found the same house where people were gathering to go to a safer place. Jared had taken supplies and left Melanie and her brother at an empty hotel. During this time, the Seekers caught Melanie because they saw her drawings of special mountain shapes. The Wanderer quickly sketched those shapes and hid the paper secretly, even though Melanie wanted her to erase it since there was no trash can. The Seeker kept asking Melanie questions but didn't learn anything new. As time passed, the Wanderer listened to Melanie's thoughts and tried to keep her visions hidden from the nosy Seeker. To her surprise, the Seeker talked about seeing Jared and getting closer to him. Melanie tried to fight the Seeker, but the Seeker used a special gas to make her unable to move. Melanie received unsettling news that her soul would be transferred to a more compliant body next day, and the Seeker would take her place. Determined, the Wanderer tried to locate her healer but was informed that he had been relocated. With unwavering resolve, Melanie seized a moment of distraction and took control, issuing instructions. While the Seeker was momentarily distracted, the Wanderer managed to slip away from the clinic. She approached a passing man and kindly requested to borrow his car, to which he willingly agreed. The aliens, who were incapable of deceit, were always ready to help each other. The alien's intention was to reach her healer's new location, but Melanie steered her in a different direction. Meanwhile, the Seeker scoured Melanie's room and stumbled upon the crumpled paper once again. The Wanderer bore witness to Melanie's memories of Jared, feeling a profound sense of sorrow. Suddenly, the nomad recognized a familiar mountain range and came to the realization that Melanie had deliberately misled her. This revelation ignited a deep-seated anger within her, as she had genuinely tried to be of help. But humans didn't always adhere to rational paths. Despite the nomad's efforts to make a U-turn, Melanie vehemently resisted the idea, leading to the vehicle spiraling out of control and careening off the road. Melanie stepped out onto the road and instructed the nomad to swiftly depart the area, warning that their pursuers would soon be on their trail. In the meantime, the hunter stumbled upon a significant revelation about the mountains featured in the illustration. As the young woman traversed the arid desert, her strength waned, and the tracker stumbled upon her wrecked vehicle. Fortuitously, her uncle happened upon her. He offered her a drink, but when she opened her eyes, those around her immediately sensed that she was not of the same species. One of the men prepared to take her life, and even her aunt delivered a harsh rebuke. However, her uncle intervened, coming to her rescue and ensuring her safety despite the objections of the others. They found sanctuary within caves where numerous survivors sought shelter. Upon seeing Melanie, Jared recoiled and struck her, unable to accept the alien presence within his beloved's body. Melanie's brother came to her defense and escorted her to a guarded underground chamber. Melanie understood that Earthlings couldn't comprehend their shared existence and that she faced potential death. She offered her apologies. A group of boys arrived, perceiving Melanie as a threat, which could potentially lead the Seekers to them. They nearly strangled her, but a gunshot halted their actions. Uncle Jeb intervened, asserting the girl's protection under his care, ready to use force against anyone who approached her. This unprecedented alien encounter drove him to seek answers to the mystery. In the meantime, the aliens had given up looking for Melanie, except for one persistent seeker. During this period, Jeremy approached the girl and asked about Melanie, but she didn't share much, just her name. Jared left with the boy, and surprisingly, Ian, who wanted to protect human identity, joined the Wanderer. Later, Uncle Jeb took the Wanderer on an underground tour and revealed an incredible place hidden from the rest of the world. After hearing their conversation with Jeremy, he suggested calling her Wanda for short. The people in this hidden place got their energy from the sun, water, and a sleeping volcano. Jeb also showed Wanda a tricky area where the water disappeared underground and warned her to be careful when bathing. While the boys were getting ready for a perilous journey to the city, they had no idea that the Seeker had called for a helicopter and was now flying over the mountain ridge. Meanwhile, Uncle Jeb unveiled a special field of wheat that had ripened due to a clever system of mirrors that brought sunlight underground. Jeb couldn't quite understand Wanda's true intentions and believed that people, especially Melanie, wouldn't give up without a fight. Jeremy had been silently observing them all along, lost in deep thought. But at that very moment, the helicopter's engine roared to life, and Jeb hurriedly turned off the mirror systems. Everyone, including Wanda, rushed to assist. The Seeker caught a brief glimpse of something, but it disappeared quickly, and the pilot confirmed that there was no one below. The helicopter then flew away, leaving the people still convinced that the aliens might return. Jeb entrusted Jeremy with the task of guarding Wanda. The young boy had different ideas and took Wanda to a cave where they could watch the twinkling stars, which turned out to be fireflies easily scared by noise. This cave was a special place for the boy when he wanted to see the open sky. He got very curious and asked Wanda about what happened to Melanie. Wanda didn't want to tell him, but eventually she shared the secret, asking him to keep it to himself for now. At the same time, the group sent to the city loaded up their cars with supplies and started heading back. Jeb asked everyone to help with the harvest, but Melanie noticed Ian paying attention to her. She told Wanda not to get distracted by Ian, but he offered Melanie some water and showed he was interested in her. Suddenly, Jeremy accidentally hurt himself with a sharp tool, and out of nowhere, a helicopter appeared. People quickly closed the mirrors to hide from the Seeker, who was looking for them. However, it seemed that the Seeker had already seen their cars on the road and stopped one of the supply groups. During the chase, two boys drove their truck into concrete blocks, causing a crash. The other vehicles kept going, but they also got the Seeker's attention. At the same time, Wanda shared her knowledge with the humans about traveling between stars, trying to persuade them that aliens had brought goodness and peace to different planets, with a strong emphasis focus on harmony. While on the road, the Seeker's car caught up with Jared's truck, and the boys started shooting while strategically positioning their truck. This caused the chasing car to collide with it, and in the accident, the Seeker accidentally took the life of another soul. This tragic event made the rest of the Seekers stop their search. Meanwhile, Wanda revealed an astonishing fact. She was over 1,000 years old. Despite having visited many places, she found Earth to be the most beautiful. However, when the boys returned, they once again tried to harm the alien. Jeremy inadvertently revealed that Melanie was still inside Wanda and could feel everything. Jeb also expressed his belief in this, and Jared decided to leave. On the flip side, Ian offered Wanda a place to stay in his room, but with the condition that he could protect her. He showed he trusted her, and she admitted that sharing the same body had its difficulties. That night, Jared had a dream about Melanie and went to Ian's room, desperately hoping Melanie was still there. Wanda was scared to admit it, but when Jared kissed her and she slapped him, he became convinced that Melanie was still inside her. Later, Wanda managed to escape to an underground river, where Kyle found her and tried to hurt the alien he disliked. In a moment of fear, Wanda pushed him into the water but grabbed his hand at the last moment and called for help. They got assistance, and even though she didn't confess to what really happened, Jeb understood and ordered Kyle not to even look at her. Afterward, Jared and Kyle headed into the city. Meanwhile, Ian took Wanda outside and confessed his feelings for her. Inside her, Melanie was angry, but Wanda admitted that even though Melanie's body was forced to love Jared, she had her own emotions. They shared a kiss, and the Wanderer couldn't help but think that Ian genuinely cared for her, despite the fear that he might be repulsive if he held her. Wanda visited the infirmary and made a shocking discovery. The doctor was conducting experiments to remove souls from humans, which resulted in the deaths of both. This revelation made her flee, unwilling to deal with what she saw as monstrous actions. She even refused to eat until Jeb approached her, reminding her that this world belonged to them and they wanted it back. Wanda understood his point, but believed they were taking the wrong approach because there were alternative ways to persuade the souls to leave. However, she soon learned about Jeremy's deteriorating health. Wanda rushed to the infirmary because she was worried about Melanie, who had been silent for 3 days. She asked Ian to kiss her, hoping it would make Melanie respond, but it didn't work. So Ian brought Jared, who had once caused a strong reaction in Melanie with a kiss. Finally, this method succeeded. Melanie learned about Jeremy's illness and asked Wanda for help, so Wanda went to the hospital. There, she cut her hand and forehead, hoping to get what she needed. Wanda carefully watched the doctor's actions and managed to take the necessary medicines. On her way back, she found a capsule used to store souls. When Wanda returned to their hideout, she used the stolen medicines to heal the boy. She joined the humans in getting supplies, and things went well until they were ambushed by Seekers one day. Jeb quickly took care of the Seeker, and they provided medical help. Wanda decided to talk to the injured Seeker, curious about why they were so determined to chase her. The Seeker explained that a weak soul could be a big problem for their group's mission and warned that more Seekers would come after them. In response, Wanda suggested teaching Doc how to properly remove souls, but with the condition that he would later remove her from Melanie's body and end her life. Doc agreed, although reluctantly. Wanda also asked for the release of the extracted souls since they couldn't go back to Earth. She showed the process by removing a soul from the Seeker's body and asked Ian to hold her hand during this unique moment. When the woman on the table woke up, tears filled her eyes, and she introduced herself as Lacey. For years, she had been struggling to communicate to those around her that her human soul was still alive and had been fighting against the invader. This was the reason she had been hesitant to let go of Melanie. Wanda decided to send the extracted soul to a distant planet. She then shared her decision with the people around her, expressing her desire to leave for good. She had come to love everyone around her and now understood how much they needed Melanie. Ian bravely confessed his love to Wanda, and she playfully teased him, suggesting that Melanie had left just so she could have an excuse to kiss him goodbye. Wanda also opened up to Doc, sharing her exhaustion from the many lives she had lived and how painful it was to leave everyone behind. She confessed her love for Melanie, referring to her as a sister. Melanie, in return, called Wanda the purest soul in the entire universe. Time passed, and one day, Wanda heard her name. She opened her eyes to find familiar faces surrounding her, including Melanie. It turned out that humans had figured out how to extract souls, but sometimes the human bodies didn't come back to life. They had placed Wanda's soul into such a body, saving it from physical death. Now, with her own body, Wanda could be with Ian, while Melanie reunited with Jared. Several months later, Wanda, Melanie, Ian, and Jared were captured. Just when it seemed like there was no way out, they realized they were being held by humans, including a seeker who, like Wanda, had joined the human side. And the movie comes to an end. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.